Alright guys, such a great Lqgend. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The beef is officially over. Dashy revealing that after all the drama behind the scenes at OpTic with Rambo a couple of years back when Rambo was coaching the team, Dashy was dropped, then he was back because Rambo was out of the team, and even on the server last year between OpTic and Vancouver Surge and all those finals where Rambo was coaching, Dashy reveals though that he was not the best player back in the day, that he's needed to improve in many respects over the last couple of years, certainly since Scump retirement, and nowadays those guys get on absolutely fine. Plenty going on elsewhere as well. Certainly some thoughts on the matter from Nadeshot. Very much into your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Load to get into today. I will share this clip for you guys in a second as well, just because these camos, we talked about these a fair bit the other day, what the teams are cooking up. This appears to be the OpTic one. There are some, like the Miami one kind of has their logo on. The Falcons one actually does have their logo on. That's what Scump says, right? He's just a little bit confused how much control the teams really have over this type of stuff. Obviously, there are rules in terms of what they can do with the camos. And it just feels like whether the rules need some work to be loosened to some degree or whether the teams just need to do a better job. I think those are interesting questions for sure. This is an interesting Brian stat. The best average tournament placing at the first major. So we're going into the first major in a month and a bit's time, right? Obviously, it's in Dallas. It's the first one. We thought it was going to be Toronto for some time. It would be cold there at that time of the year, but would still have been pretty cool to go back to Toronto for an event, given that Champs last year was, well, it was hosted by Toronto at the very least. But the first major, the normal Major 1 champions are the FaZe boys, really. Simp's average placing there is a 1.8, same with aBeZy, same with Cell. That, of course, will change this year, right? It will change for all of them, because you can't place 1.8, but obviously all of those guys will place differently, as we know they're now on different teams. Scrap is also pretty good, historically, at Major 1. His average placing is a 2.3. Then you get to Drazah, Insight, Envoy, CleanX are pretty interesting. And then Shotzzy at 5.2, then Illy, then aBeZy. So, none of the OpTic guys really on here. We have seen back in Major 1 Vanguard, when OpTic did win, but their average placing has not been great over the last few years for OpTic. So maybe this year is going to be different. Certainly they'll be hoping that it is, because first major of the season, this time it's their major, again in Dallas. They're going to be doing the ring ceremony, all that type of stuff. So of course they'll want to perform well on the weekend. It's a new venue as well. We're not going to Allen again, the Credit Union of Texas Center or whatever it was called. Great venue for the last couple of years, but they're doing it at a different venue instead on the SMU campus, as far as I understand. That's coming up shortly. Matches, of course, are getting back underway tomorrow, but loads of key storylines over the last few days. Dashy was getting active on stream yet again, and there's been lots of clips going around. This is one of them, just from the OpTic watch party last weekend. They were talking a little bit about the Falcons, where the Falcons sits as a roster, because, they talk about on paper that team being good. I don't know how good it really is on paper, to be honest, right? Yeah, they've not been great so far. I will say to the Falcons, I want to give them a little bit more time and a little bit more benefit of the doubt. I feel like I've been quite harsh on Falcons so far, somewhat understandably, but also their first weekends they did play OpTic and Thieves, so, we'll see, right? Obviously those are two good teams. Whatever you think about Thieves, it's undeniable that OpTic are very competitive, and Thieves are at least still a solid squad at the very least, even if they're not as good as maybe they could be or should be or whatever. This was after their, first series against the Falcons. Dashy had a few thoughts and said, never really got double chowed at all. They just don't play the game the right way. Obviously, there's a lot of talent over there on that squad, but their, let's say, play style as a roster is either just not good enough or is not yet finalised, or they've obviously got a fair bit of work to do in that sense. But I don't think that many people were coming into the season looking at that team and saying, okay, these guys are going to be top 4, top 5, right? I think most people had them top 7, top 8, something in that ballpark, which isn't terrible, and they can certainly work on that from there, but not clear that right now Falcons, with this current roster and the way that they're playing the game on a game like Black Ops 7, where the pace and the double challing and the movement is an important factor, right? In terms of taking fights together, double challing, playing as a team, there's no team better than that OpTic right now, and it shouldn't be a massive surprise that OpTic are considered the best team in the game, and they've been playing like it so far, because they've got all that chemistry. Not only have they got all the talent and everything, but they've also got the chemistry from the previous title. It can take time for teams to develop that, but as Kenny and others have often said, you know pretty early in a team's life cycle whether this could be it or not. And OpTic, of course, once they brought in Mercules, quite quickly it was pretty clear that, damn, Mercules fits this team like a glove. Somehow he knows what to do on the map all the time. He knows where to position himself, what gunfights to take, how to work with the team. And maybe that's just a Mercules phenom scenario, but also, you know, his style just worked with that team straight away, and you knew that OpTic were going to be good with Mercules pretty much straight out the gate, as they did, right? Shotzzy from the first scrim was like, damn, this Mercules kid's frying, and it feels like he's just slotted in really nicely. If that's not the case with Falcons, it's difficult to develop that, right? Like, it's difficult to develop that over time. Clayster has certainly got his work cut out over there, that is for sure. JP and Nadeshot, Dashy, they had a lot to say, so I've got a number of clips to share for you guys in the coming minutes that are interesting for sure going into the weekend. JP did talk about their takeaways, let's say, for the opening weekend, because there's no doubt that teams will be watching the OpTic VODs, right? What are they doing different to the other teams? Why do they look like the best? Gentlemate's still very solid. I think OpTic can lose. It's not like they're unbeatable precisely, but Gentlemate's lost, right? They lost to FaZe in 5. OpTic had a 2-0 start to the season against, you know, competition you would expect them to beat, but nonetheless they got the job done, certainly against G2, and they had a little bit of pressure on. JP says, teams are going to watch our VODs. We played Hardpoint pretty well, but of course there's always work and improvements that you can make. The game is far less refined now than it will be later in the year. Nadeshot was talking a little bit of trash to Dashy and to OpTic as well. We'll see if that one goes anywhere. But the big question that they were talking about really was the Rambo Ray beef. So if you guys aren't familiar with the story, a couple of years back, wow, was it dramatic. So this is the start of 2023. It's nearly 3 years ago now. But going into the Modern Warfare 2 season, there was all sorts of drama behind the scenes at OpTic. I mean, wow, OpTic fans today have to be grateful for the team they currently have and the success that they've recently had. Because, wow, they were in hell a couple of years back. So, Scump was about to retire shortly after this moment. In fact, that's why Dashy eventually returned to the team. But Dashy got dropped, and there were lots of drama about Rambo Ray, because Rambo Ray was coaching the team. They decided, effectively Scump had decided to run the roster back with Illy, of course, and Dashy and Shotzzy and Scump. Not the best decision as it turned out. They weren't very good at the start of the game. They were on very much thin ice. And when things started to go wrong, then they just blew the roster up immediately. Now, Rambo, I remember they sat down with Rambo and the team did a talk about it and why Dashy had been dropped and all this. Now, Rambo is a very well-respected member of the Call of Duty scene, and for very good reason. His coaching is also highly rated. We've seen what he did with Surge last year. He will absolutely get offers to return to coaching when he plans to. He's just recently become a father, so he's taking some time off before returning to competing in some sense or coaching a team. But there was all sorts of drama, right? Because, well, when Crim was working with Rambo back in Dallas Empire, and even going forwards when Rambo became the OpTic coach and OpTic and Dallas merged with all of that type of stuff, there was talk from Dashy about doing the minimap only VOD review, right? That they'd watch VOD and it would just be the minimap and all this. And look, maybe that was delusional, but Dashy was calling out Rambo. I mean, I remember this so vividly, the day that all of this happens, when Rambo would, you know, Dashy basically said he would be missing the final couple of maps of scrims because he'd go off and do his bowling league, right, and start bowling some 300s. And this became all the drama for a long time. And, you know, Dashy to a certain degree won the war, because Dashy then was brought back because Scump was like, look, I'm going down so you can come up here, Brandon. Like, you got to lock in. And Dashy has been very clear that that made a big difference to his mentality, and if it wasn't for that happening, we'd probably never see the Dashy that we see today. So Dashy won the war, Rambo was ousted effectively, and, well, this is some of the reaction clips.
You know what would have been super dope? And I'm just thinking out loud here. If on our design, because we're back-to-back, we should have paid, like, an homage to that somewhere on the gun. Like, listen, I don't necessarily know how much control the teams have over, like, the design of their own guns, because in camos, because I'm sure, like, Call of Duty, they definitely have a say. They're probably like, you can make a design for X amount of the gun, but it can't include shit like this, shit like that. I don't know how much control the teams actually have over the design of it, but it'd be sick if we had, like, just some homage to the back-to-back or, you know, just something in there. I feel like we were saying, like, on paper, their roster is so good, but we've been hearing, like, just shit from scrims, and everyone's like, they're kind of...
Yeah.
They're just kind of eh.
I think it's more their, like, chemistry and, like, their pacing together. Like, they're not taking fights together.
Yeah.
I never got double chilled once in that series.
Like, it's kind of weird because I feel like Xnid and Kiz are both, like, entry subs. Like, who takes that role and who runs the AR?
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to, like, switch a lot in this game, kind of, like, off your spawn, but, like, I feel like it's just kind of weird.
Yeah. And then also, he has on an AR. I don't know. They just got a weird vibe. And an MC is actually, like, when I'm fighting him, I can tell he's, like, this is, like, an MC type of game. Wall bouncing, weird shit, slide cancel. Like, he's going to be nasty, but...
Like, IW?
I feel like they're fucking his positioning.
Yeah, yeah, IW.
But
Yeah,
yeah, this is an MC kind of game, though, for
100%,
sure.
dude. Like, he's going to be fucking wall bouncing like a crackhead.
I think we have a really good grasp on overload. I think teams are going to start watching our VOD and start trying to do the same thing we're doing. So we might have to adapt a little bit, but I think the way we're playing right now is really good. I just know teams are going to just try and replicate it. But I do think this mode takes a lot of teamwork and trust. So it's not going to be as easy as just watching our VOD and doing the same shit. I think hardpoint, we played hardpoint pretty well except for like that Scar hardpoint obviously yesterday. We talked about it, but just making situations that are controlled and not chaotic. That just leads to those 2p2s that we talked about where they scored like 100 points.
Listen, it's our last year, and we're gonna go out with a bang, dude. You're gonna lose at champs, Brandon. Just letting you know.
Oh, this is weird. Hex
so
here.
weird.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's not weird at all.
But it's not a self hex.
Because you didn't even say that your team was gonna win either. It's like you both might.
It's like you just want us to both drown.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna hedge my bet for sure. I'd rather us both drown than one of us succeed for sure.
I guess I could see that.
That's how petty
Like,
I really am.
If I was gonna drown, would I want you to succeed either? Like,
yeah.
probably. Maybe.
Unfortunately, bro, if we're not gonna win, I'd rather it be OpTic, but it really has nothing to do with you, Brandon.
I got you guys too.
Fuck yeah, let's go. Fuck the rest of the league.
We'll run them.
Yeah, fuck it, we'll win them. You lose the floor.
Like, if you really think about BO6, we won the last 4 events. Our team.
Facts, bro. That's facts. Beefing.
Ooh.
Oh, are actually cool.
Oh, let's go. See, because I like you and I like Ray. Like, I hated Ray when he was playing, but now that it's kind of like most COD beefs, in my opinion. Like, you hate each other in the moment, but like as soon as you get older a little bit, like nobody actually cares, and you realize like,
exactly.
oh,
You realize that, man. Like, I think I was just being a dickhead.
Yeah, we kind of grew up together, and we both were just psychotic. But Rambo's really good at golf, by the way. Like,
And bowling too, right?
who?
And bowling, pretty sure.
Dude,
And bowling,
Pretty
yeah.
sure he's bowled 300s and shit.
No,
I say that it's different.
yeah,
I would
Ray,
say he's a godlike golfer.
yeah, Ray's nuts. But I appreciate the golf.
So in hindsight, you look at how it's all played out. Dashy won because he went back to OpTic, now won a couple of rings. Rambo hasn't done since leaving, of course. But I think, as Dashy says, this was all part of his like maturing process, really. I mean, as he talked about there, that he doesn't feel like he was the best friend / teammate back in the day. I think Dashy is a great example of a player who, like, all the talk was mentality, turning up late to scrims, this type of stuff. And I think it probably was that key moment when Scump retired and said, look, Dashy, you've got big shoes to fill here. The OpTic fans are expecting a lot from you. And Dashy has been able over the last couple of years to improve in many ways, not just his gameplay from a team play perspective. You know, he's no more talented than he used to be, but is he more effective on the map than he used to be? Is he a better teammate than he used to be? Is he a better winner than he used to be? Like, absolutely. And I think Dashy recognizes that if he was the same player now, mentality-wise, as he was back then, as if he could transport back in time, he would probably have a better relationship with Rambo than he did. Not say all things would have been perfect, maybe, but I think it would have been better. And I think Dashy probably recognises that at least Rambo was probably right in some regards. And presumably today, there's no issues there, right? And of course, now Dashy's won and the pressure's off to a certain degree. You might expect that, but I still thought it was kind of nice and interesting to see this kind of conclude in a positive way. we'll see as time goes on whether, you know, they have some more big matchups or whether we see some other rivalries in the CDL, maybe Scrap and Drazah, although things got a bit more personal there, I would say, whether they could squash the beef over the coming years. But very much enjoyed your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.